We've got so many ideas. All of our products need to be powered in some way or augmented by Duo. More of the platform needs to be interconnected into our various data systems. Like there's just all sorts of stuff that we're doing that over the next 12 months, you'll just see rapid cycle of improvement because we're kind of through a lot of the learning phase at this point, and now it's very much like dig in and deliver as much value as we possibly can.
Today on LawNext, as the law practice management company Clio launches Clio Duo, its generative AI legal assistant, I speak with Jonathan Watson, Clio's Chief Technology Officer, about Duo's development, capabilities, and future direction. We also talk about some of the other products Clio recently launched, including native accounting and custom reporting. We recorded this conversation live at the Clio Cloud Conference in Austin, Texas in October. Watson has twice before been on this podcast, on November 14th, 2023, and November 3rd, 2022. He's been with Clio since 2017 and has been its Chief Technology Officer since 2021. He was previously Director of Engineering at Shopify. Note that this is the fifth and final episode I'll be posting of the podcasts I recorded live at the Clio Cloud Conference. Of the four I've already posted, one was with Clio's founder and CEO, Jack Newton. Another was with what I described as the Clio Power Trio of Clio's COO, Ronnie Gurion, CFO, Kurt Sigstead, and board member and investor, Mark Britton. I also did one on the Clio Legal Trends Report with guest Joshua Lennon, who is Clio's lawyer in residence and a principal author of the report. And finally, I recorded an interview with Zach Posner, co-founder and managing director of the Legal Tech Fund, the first VC firm devoted exclusively to legal tech. I am Bob Ambrogi, and you're listening to LawNext, the podcast that features the innovators and entrepreneurs who are driving what's next in law. Before we get to that, please take a moment to learn about the sponsors whose generosity helps keep this podcast going. Reduce time spent on non-billable work with Bill for Time, the most trusted name in legal time tracking and billing software. Bill for Time automates your time tracking with multiple timers, standardizes your invoicing with custom templates, and gets your firm paid up to 70% faster with built-in online payment processing. Discover how Bill for Time can help you work more efficiently by visiting them at billfortime.com. That's Bill, the number 4, time.com. Jonathan Watson, welcome back to the show. I've talked to you a couple of times over the years, at least, I think. So welcome, good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you. Thanks for having me out again. And yeah, been a few years now we've been chatting, and good to continue the tradition.
Yeah, well, there's always new and exciting stuff to talk about, that's for sure. I guess we can kind of start with AI, right?
Sure. Tends to be where most
that's
conversations.
What everybody's talking about, and that's been, obviously, we're sitting here live at ClioCon where just this morning, Jack Newton delivered the keynote where he talked about the launch of Clio Duo, which you guys had originally announced last year, and now you've actually brought it to market today. What's that process been like for you of developing that tool? Because a couple of us were just talking this morning about the fact that when we saw the sort of demos of it last year, there was some working demos of it last year, and it looked pretty darn good a year ago. So I want to talk a little bit about just, what went into kind of developing that and bringing it to market.
Yeah, for sure. It's a good series of questions, and I'll try not to go on too long about kind of the story of it. But with everything that we do at Clio, we like to get tons of customer feedback. We like to try to find customer fit. We like to solve real problems. We like to prioritize it. Like, we're very data-driven in our approach to building things. And when you bring AI into the market, a lot of that stuff changes. Like on the surface level, how people interact with it is one thing. And then as they gain familiarity with the tool, they interact with it differently. And there was a lot of us working through all of those various challenges and trying to deliver something that was really impactful to them, not just something that was out the door to ride the hype wave of AI.
Right.
And I think last time we spoke, I commented that there was a hype wave of AI going on right now. And we wanted to make sure that we still delivered a really great solution in the market on our own time and on our own scale of when we feel something that's going to be meaningful and impactful in the industry. And that's what we spent all of this time doing. And It's definitely changed the way we develop software in a lot of ways. Like there's a lot more customer feedback loops going on at any given time, and then there's refinement stages, and then you kind of like, okay, that's good, now move on to the next chunk of work, and just a very different process than we would have gone for our, something like accounting or other features that we've delivered.
Yeah. What has the customer feedback been like on that? I mean, I was surprised that the results of also this morning they talk about the legal trend survey came out, and it showed a surprisingly high either adoption or willingness to adopt AI among law firms and legal professionals. My experience has been different than that in terms of people I'm having conversations with. And so I'm just wondering, what are you hearing from customers about this?
For sure. Maybe I'll turn it right back around to you really quickly. Like, are you hearing that they aren't using it and it's not valuable?
Not that it's not valuable, but that they're not using it. And especially when I talk to lawyers in solo and small firms, there is fear about it. There is lack of understanding about it. There is this idea that AI is ChatGPT, and that's all they know. And some of them don't even know that. I've talked to lawyers who've never even gone on and played around with ChatGPT. And so I think there's that, and then not to answer my own question here, but I think there's also the problem with a lot of smaller firm lawyers is they just don't have the time. They don't have the bandwidth to try and figure this out, so they just keep kicking the can down the road until thinking someday they're going to have time to get in there and play with it.
Yeah.
So I think that's what I keep hearing.
Yeah, definitely like one series of things that I've heard as well. But what we see are, maybe I'll tell this in a little bit of a different way. As a developer, my entire career has been learning languages and learning how to build architecture and scalable and resilient systems. And to do that at the best of my abilities, I had to learn my tool set and my tool chain really well. And so I know my code editor, I know my deployment tools, I know my monitoring tools, and I actually spend a good portion of time to get to know those systems. When AI came into place, I was originally skeptical. I was like, there's no way in hell this is going to replace devs. There's too much like that I do that's just learning how to solve the problem versus like delivering the solution. And the more that I've talked with attorneys, the more I see that's also true. It's spending a lot of time trying to figure out which problems to solve and which things to break down than you are just about delivering the work and everything that you're doing. And in that act, I think we're seeing attorneys start to go, hey, like I need to learn some of these tool chains so I can actually execute my job better. And over time, they're going to adopt more. There are others that are going to struggle if they don't spend the time learning the tools, because ChatGPT was effectively useless to me at the beginning. I thought it was cool, and I was like, I'm never going to use this.
Yeah.
And now I use AI in some part of my job every single day. And even if it's as minor as helping recraft language.
Are you coding with it? That's what I want to know.
It does some coding. In my experience, I find it can be helpful to write some very simple things. And I can use it as examples for others, but often you go ask over here, you find a bunch of devs in the product area, and you ask them about it, they'd be like, frankly, I can write a lot of that code faster, because you spend more time debugging code than you do actually writing it. But with attorneys, with law firms, what we've very specifically seen are there are those that want to introspect on their law firm's data, and that's one set. That's what Duo was originally starting to help you understand what's going on in your law firm. Then there are those who want to handle the practice of law, like the actual drafting of documents, the introspection or analysis of documents and all that sort of stuff, which is the next phase of Duo. And then there are those that are wanting to bring that all together into a full product suite and have it powered by their entire data set. And that's the next chapter for us, is like bringing that to market. It's not surprising that most are also probably, they're saying, listen, I need AI and I use it, but I haven't used it to its fullest. And we need to help people by building great experience tools that are seamless in the way that they work, so they do use it to their fullest.
Right. Well, I think the seamless is the key there, because it's like so many technologies that we've seen over the years, from the iPhone on up, the idea that you don't need to be thinking about the fact that you're using AI. And I think, again, going back to when we used to talk about the cloud, I mean, lawyers would say, no, I'm not in the cloud, and in fact, they were in the cloud all the time. They just didn't know it.
Yeah.
And it's probably going to become the case with AI, that they're going to be using it all the time, but have no idea, or not be thinking about the fact that they're using AI.
Yeah,
is that
very
a
true.
fair way? And is that kind of the design goal in terms of building this?
We haven't done like a clearly stated design goal where we never talk about AI, because there is a level of just helping people build awareness. But my hope is that all melts away over time.
Yeah.
And we stop thinking about AI as this separate tool that we're engaging with at any given time. because that marketing buzz will also just like bolster, is it actually AI? Is it not? Is it just a really great predictive system? Or is it actually trying to semantically analyze the documents that you're working with? Like there's a lot of stuff. I think it's going to fall away over time. We're actually seeing a rise of really good companies that aren't talking about being AI powered.
Yeah.
They're just like, this is what we do. And yet they're very much powered by LLMs in the background.
Yeah. I actually had somebody ask me this morning, I was just chatting with after the keynote, the question, something to the effect of, is there anything you can do with Clio Duo that you couldn't just do with ChatGPT? And I said, well, I'm not sure, but I think the key is you don't have to go to ChatGPT and take 10 different steps to do it and figure out, move data here and there and all of that. It's right there. It has access to your data. I mean, what do you say to that?
Yeah. It's a fair challenge. But here's why you can't do the stuff in ChatGPT. ChatGPT today wouldn't be able to take actions on your Clio Manage instance and create time entries for you or introspect about your last phone calls that you had. We can do that in Duo very heavily because we have access to the data. The prompts that you use to craft these systems, those are highly tuned, highly trained. They're experimented with heavily by large groups of people. They're run in mass. So you think about these prompts that are asking LLMs to do things, they'll be run tens of hundreds of thousands of times or millions of times and then refined. And you won't get as far walking into a ChatGPT and rolling it yourself. Could you do that and get most of the way? Probably. Do you want to? Is that where you want to spend the time?
Right.
You'd rather just have the tool embedded in. I have a tool that I use to monitor a bunch of stuff on the engineering side. And I actually heavily use its AI systems to help me craft reports and chats and diagrams for things that I'm reporting on. And it's pretty amazing.
Little guest appearance from Lawrence Colletti there.
We'll see if you can mute that out later.
Get the editor to get that out of there. The dangers of recording in a convention hall floor.
Yeah.
You know, there are a number of aspects to Clio Duo. What are you most excited about? What's your favorite, or what do you like to talk about?
That is a great question. To be honest, I think the document analyzer functionality is just like the tip of the iceberg for us, but can prove out to be like the most impactful day-to-day set of functionality that we can offer. That is just like truly solving a hard problem. Like, let me retrieve information and facts from this document. Don't hallucinate, like stick to the facts, like that sort of stuff as much as possible. I think that's pretty cool. The second thing I'm most excited about is just the ability, when we're a couple of steps away, but we're getting there, to auto take these actions on behalf of the users. You know, as you're working through your day job, you can see on the cards that were coming up, Duo is recommending you bill time, and you add time here, you missed a thing here. Very much just helping people gather up all the things they set on the table at the day and put them right back in the bag by the end of the day. And I think that's going to be transformational. I like the small stuff, and I sweat the small stuff, and I think that's going to be one of those things that I hope really changes people's day-to-day.
Yeah, I like the small stuff too, although I might mean it in a different way, but I mean, I like the fact that from what I haven't actually gone and to try it out yet, but from what I saw in the demo this morning and from what I've read about, just that kind of ability to just kind of quickly get information out of your cases and matters, stuff that you could get, you know, sort of like what we were just saying with ChatGPT, you could get there other ways, but it would take you a lot longer and it would just take a lot more time, and just be able to just have this chat query and get the information at your fingertips really quickly. It's just amazing. I mean, you know, you're on a phone call and you just need it, you know, and it's there, you can get it. Jonathan Watson came to Clio after having been director of engineering at e-commerce platform Shopify, and before that, game company Zynga, developer of Farmville. Still to come in our interview, which we recorded live at the Clio Cloud Conference, we'll talk about Clio's plans for future development of AI, other new products that Watson is excited about, and how his role as CTO has evolved as the company has gone increasingly global. But first, please take this opportunity to learn about the sponsors whose generosity supports LawNext. Reduce time spent on non-billable work with Bill for Time, the most trusted name in legal time tracking and billing software. Bill for Time automates your time tracking with multiple timers, standardizes your invoicing with custom templates, and gets your firm paid up to 70% faster with built-in online payment processing. Discover how Bill for Time can help you work more efficiently by visiting them at billfortime.com. That's Bill, the number 4, time.com. Welcome back to LawNext. By the way, we are very appreciative of the sponsors who support this podcast. If you'd like to be one of them, reach out to us. For a full media kit, email Ben Ambrogi, ben@lawnextmedia.com. Although Clio's new generative AI assistant, Clio Duo, was in the spotlight at the Clio Cloud Conference, it was not to the exclusion of other new products. In the second part of my conversation with Chief Technology Officer Jonathan Watson, we talk about some of those other products and ask him what the challenges have been for him as CTO of his company's global growth. Let's get back to Jonathan Watson. One of the things I know that you've talked about the fact that in a lot of ways Clio Duo is just the first step in your AI journey. So what are the next steps in that journey? Where do you go from here now that you finally got this out there?
Yeah, there's only so much I can share. I think I mentioned this to you.
That.
Yeah, a couple of years ago, I remember telling you, we got roadmap for years on everything, and tends to be how we work in a lot of ways. And with AI, it's no different. We've got so many ideas. All of our products need to be powered in some way or augmented by Duo. More of the platform needs to be interconnected into our various data systems. Like, there's just all sorts of stuff that we're doing that over the next 12 months, you'll just see rapid cycle of improvement. We're kind of through a lot of the learning phase at this point, and now it's very much like dig in and deliver as much value as we possibly can.
Yeah, in understanding that you can't give me details, but is it building on what you've just rolled out, or are there kind of new directions you can go with this?
It's both. We're going to build very much on the foundations that we've laid and continue to advance those out across all sorts of document management, document creation, and analysis work. And then there's other tools that we're going to bring into play in our various other products that we think are going to be pretty impactful.
Yeah. Again, I know you've been doing this for a couple of years, but what's it been like? I know, just internally having to maybe shift gears a little bit and adapt to this whole new technology. I mean, 3 years ago, nobody was talking about generative AI. Suddenly, everything is generative AI. Have you had to completely hire new staff, retrain people, reorganize how you do things? I mean, what's that process been like for you?
For sure. I mean, we started rolling our own. We like to learn. We hire people that are self-learners and really grow and develop. Well, we did go out and we grabbed Natalie Beresovsky to join us as our director of AI. She's hired a whole bunch of machine learning engineers and machine learning operations people and really bolstered that team over the last 8 months, basically, and brought in a whole new spectrum of talent and just experience. And now we're all in the phase of learning from each other as fast as we possibly can. The hardest thing about AI development is often just the problems it can and shouldn't solve. Like, you really have to decide, does that really need to be solved by AI and an LLM, or can we make that more deterministic by taking a different path that actually yields out the better user experience? And for us, it all comes down to that user experience, more so than just the very specific tool that we're bringing into play to deliver on it.
Yeah. Are there expectations that customers have about AI that are completely off base and will never come true?
That one's a hard one to answer. Like, I'll give you an example. Sometimes we get asked, like, can AI watch everybody in my firm and tell me, if they're not performing? And we're kind of like, yeah, probably, maybe, but it's also your job to do that, not an AI's job. So I think there are very much like some things out there that we don't really have an interest in digging into, and yet people are really wanting these systems to come in. I have been pitched to basically automate a lawyer's job, and I was like, number one, I don't think it's completely feasible. And number two, also not how we think about it. We think about augmenting lawyers and everything that we do, and very much in just making them AI powered as much as possible so they can serve more clients and more business. Yeah,
there were a bunch of other stuff talked about this morning that were not AI, and just other product enhancements or new products coming down the road. Anything else that you're particularly excited about or wanted to kind of highlight or talk about out of that?
Two big things I'm really excited about. Clio Accounting. That product's going to advance a whole lot over the next 12 months.
Yeah.
We did the first version, great reviews, great feedback. Just the first step from where we are.
Accounting's tough. It's tough to build accounting software.
It's a tough product, and you got a lot of incumbent players in the market as well. So, but what we delivered is a really great user experience in handling accounting, and our goal is to make that very approachable or make it so people don't have to think about it, one of the two. The second thing is custom reporting. It's been one of the number one asks at Clio since I joined 7 years ago. And delivering that in the coming months is a really exciting milestone. Just being like, we got to check this really important functionality for our customers, and especially for growing law firms. They want to slice their data a million other ways.
Yeah. As Clio has been expanding globally, geographically, what challenges does that raise for you as CTO in order to meet that?
So I run the compliance and data privacy functions too. So the regulatory environment around the entire world is so complex that every market that we go into, trying to meet trust accounting regulations and rules, the different law societies and the way that they look at compliance across their members, and just the data regionality and the Venn diagram of all of the governments starting to play in all of these areas, it's probably one of the most complex areas of the job. And especially as we go international, just being very deliberate where we pick up and work on these things. We all get a taste of it with GDPR,
right?
But the AI wave is coming. You see it pop up, and this legislation's popping up in a lot of different areas.
Yeah.
And that's going to be the next wave of it. Data privacy is becoming more and more important, and we're going to have to figure out ways to handle that incredibly well. And overall, that's where I spend most of my time. Taking technology global is easy. I've done that plenty of times. It's the people and the governments and the overlap between all of that that's quite difficult.
It's not the infrastructure so much as the regulatory structure.
Infrastructure is easy.
Yeah, we'll quote you on that someday.
Yeah, you can put it in a line.
Yeah. Well, I know our time is limited here. Is there anything else that you'd kind of like to highlight about what you're working on or what Clio is doing in general here at this conference?
Yeah, listen, I think we're incredibly customer focused, and with this next AI wave for us, we want to hear more and more from our customers on what's valuable, what's not, what do they get excited about, what do they really wish it could do, all of this various stuff, and we want as much feedback coming as our way as possible so we can just build the best solution that you possibly can. And that's probably it on my end.
All right. Well, Jonathan, thanks so much. Always a pleasure to talk to you.
Yeah, thanks so much. And if you want a demo of Clio Duo, let me know, and I can get you over there at some point.
Yeah, I'm gonna. Well, Pamela's already promised to get me over there, so I'll get over there at some point. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. Well, thank you so much.
All right. Good. Thanks.
Yeah.
My thanks to Jonathan Watson, Clio's Chief Technology Officer, for taking the time out of the Clio Cloud Conference to chat with me. I hope you enjoyed the conversation. If you'd like to share your own thoughts or comments on today's show, please do so by messaging me. You can do it on LinkedIn or X, or email me directly, ambrogi@gmail.com. And if you're a fan of LawNext, please leave us a review wherever you get your podcasts. LawNext is a production of LawNext Media. I'm your host, Bob Ambrogi. I hope you'll join us again next time for another episode of LawNext.